Oh, good. Recording in progress. Does anybody have any questions or needs before we get started? All right, cool. So I'll share the way that I typically like to handle doing a CMA or pricing a property depends on a lot of things. But first and foremost, of course, and I use this chance, like I said, in Pricing Pros, I don't take for granted that anybody, first, that I know what I'm doing or that anybody else knows what they're doing. But I'm here to share sort of part of my process, and collaboratively, we try to narrow in on what do we think that this property is worth. And that's kind of the process I use. And this gives people a chance to just kind of see that and also share how you go about it. So by all means, this is meant to be interactive. And if you have questions or ideas or differences, don't hesitate. So while I'm pulling up the MLS and tax records and things, which I'm going to share my screen, Kevin, why don't you go ahead and give us a bit of the background story, if you will.
Sure. This is a home, was built in 2016. It was a property that was a duplex. The guy that owned the duplex built 2 homes on it, lived in one, sold the other. A client that currently is in there, I helped them purchase this house. Their family has expanded and they are busting at the seams in this home. So we started looking back in probably February for homes, which was a great time to be finding homes in the 12th South area. We weren't competing with anybody at all.
No,
for these
not
homes.
at all.
So it was really tough. They were really in the price range of kind of the 1.4, 1.5, which we had a handful of homes that were great, suited them, that came up. All of them would go over, 200 grand over.
Sorry, let me mute us here. I'm at the 21st office and goodness. Hello, Elise.
Hey guys.
Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry, I'm going to mute myself as the fire trucks go.
Yeah. So, and part of the trick in pricing this one is they really weren't in a position to sell before they bought. We working with Billy Winfrey and really trying to do the buy before you close. We were working lots of angles.
It's a great
and so their home search really came down to, hey, what can they sell their house for? And this one is challenging for a number of reasons. One, there's really no yard. It has a little bit of a front yard, no backyard. They've got a garage in the back that opens right up to the alley. The trick about this alley, though, is it's also that it goes to the driveway of the house next to them. So that alley gets accessed by the neighbor to park their car.
Right or left here?
Yep, they are on the right.
Okay.
So there's a little alley behind them that that's the driveway for the little brick home on the right of them. And so another thing that was challenging about this one is when they moved in, they converted their garage, which is in the back and attached, they converted it to an Airbnb space. So it's been hard to evaluate as how to evaluate a home. It's got a master up, master down, to evaluate a home that has no yard in this 12th South area, that has no yard, but also has Airbnb income potential. And there just wasn't a lot to kind of compare that to. So the last time we pulled up last time I evaluated it and sent them a CMA was back in beginning of May. So I haven't looked at it since then.
Great. Well, this is awesome. This is a great property to do this deal for. So thank you for giving us this opportunity to explore. So you'll see some of the first things I do is if, let's say, you got a call to go on a listing appointment and you haven't driven by, you don't know anything about it, you don't have to get in your car. Just first, just Google the address. Always we start with the location as much as we do the details of bed bath count, right? So I need to look at geographic concerns and considerations. So what's the first thing you notice about this property? Someone, not Kevin or myself.
It's backed up to a highway.
You got it. It's backed up to 440. So that is close enough that you will hear it, even despite this this tree line here and this distance. Kevin, can you affirm that you can hear 440 from there?
Yes, you can. You're right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not bad, but you're right. It is definitely a consideration.
And what's also a great consideration is proximity to 12 South. It's walkable. And if you weren't familiar with this area, Sevier Park has one of the best community centers in Nashville, and it's amazing. And there's outdoor basketball courts and tennis courts, and it's heavily used for dog walking and kids and all the things. So, and 8th Avenue is bursting at the seams. So, like, you got a lot of cool stuff that's very walkable and easy access to Green Hills and a Home Depot and Walmart right over here. So, location wise, despite the 440, it's fantastic. What you may also not know is, like, anytime I see a home that's on Woodmont, you want to be mindful. Like, when I buy homes and I advise buyers, I always try to help them. We always talk about location condition, right? We buy the floor plan. We don't buy the finishes. And the location being the first and foremost thing about those. But Woodmont, or anything that's on a double yellow line, you need to think twice about. Now, I live on a double yellow line street, and that was a concession I made. But otherwise, I avoid them. And especially Woodmont Boulevard, because the traffic's just murder. And, people buy and build homes on there because they were either there, but this isn't Belmead Boulevard. Woodmont is a cut through street, as is Granny White. And all of you, if you've driven around, know that those are what they are. Battlefield is a little bit of a cut through street, but nonetheless, these are things and conversation pieces that I have with clients, because as much as they want to tell you how awesome their home is, there's language and dialogue that I teach in other classes about how to get them to verbalize the things that they know are challenges about their house, so they can take that into account in pricing. Because you can have all the data in the world and be the pricing expert and have a crystal ball and know exactly what this thing's going to sell for. But the biggest thing when it comes to pricing a home is dealing with the seller's perception and opinion of what it should be priced at. And especially coming out of the COVID chaos market that we just did, we're having to do a lot of re-education. And you can either die on the vine with them for months and hopefully wait them out, or you can be proactive and educate them on the front end. So more on that another time. But nonetheless, yes, proximity to that is very much a consideration. I like to look at that. And then, of course, you see I draw the street view, and we'll go to street view. And then what I'll always do is just kind of pan around. Well, do I have power poles? Is there a satellite dish in back? How is the parking situation? I've pulled up the listing from when they bought it the previous time. And so I'm looking at things here real quick of, okay, they paid $675. It closed in 16. It was new at that time. It's an HPR detached. Always check if it's really that. A lot of times it might say site built, and it's not a site built. Boy, it's engineered to amaze. What an interesting headline. It's got a 2-car parking attached in the rear, which is cool. So it makes me think, okay, what sense of yard does it have? As soon as I see an attached HPR or detached HPR with a garage in the back, it spells to me no yard. Kevin, does it have a yard?
No yard.
Yep, bingo. I don't even need to go to this house, and I know that because I went to the previous MLS. Now, this one happened to have the tax record. If it didn't, you would go to search. Excuse me, you'd go to, minimize my chat window here. You'd go to tax data. You would put in, make sure you have the county right. See, I've been searching other places here. Davidson County. Nothing was found. It will, oh, it's the A. So this is great. This is good training for everybody. The A will always jack in tax record often. So not always, but often. So just get rid of that. You'll see it auto populates. That's when you know it actually, and this is recorded so y'all can watch this again, but this pulls up the tax record. You can see I was able to quick get to that through the listing search because the record was in there. Don't be alarmed when you see 0 taxes, just means that the agent didn't know that at the time and they didn't want to estimate when it was new construction. And it says here, which was good, taxes will adjust. Call Brian Merrill. I guarantee you this is a Grant Hammond listing. And there it is, because I know Brian works for him. And Kevin Mann represented the buyer. Cool. And you stayed in touch with your client. They're going to hire you to sell it. Good job. You can obviously look at photos, which I do. There's a bigger tour of all that just to kind of see what are we looking at here? How does it appeal? What do the neighbors' homes look like? What kind of finishes are we looking at? Those are often the things like, you know, this staircase style, it's very traditional, right? So first and foremost, like it's a little more welcoming than a straight staircase, but to a lot of feng shui people, this is no bueno. I'm looking at, is this sand and finish hardwood or is it pre-finished? It looks pre-finished to me. May not be. Kevin, what do we got?
It's sanded hardwoods.
Cool. Real tall ceilings, traditional fixtures. I'm kind of looking at floor plan here. Now, all this may seem silly to you all, is like, really, are we getting to this? But you know this is important, and I want to see and know this before I even go to the appointment. Like, I've got gas cooking, I've got an island. Do I have a waterfall finish? Do I have quartz countertops? You know, just kind of how does it look on par? And of course, we got to go tour the home. I'm never going to give the client a price until I walk in and tour the home. Now, what's going on with this backsplash back here? Somebody got jiggy with it. What's happening here? Good talk. All right. So yeah, we know that that's a thing. Are these soft closed doors and drawers? Do we know?
You know, I don't remember. I do think they are, but I don't remember. That's a good question.
Okay. It looks like nice, I mean, pretty nice quality construction. We've got this little chitty chat area, which somebody
They
could
screen
cover.
that in too.
That's
a
cool.
screen porch now.
So again, when I'm doing pricing, like I'm putting all these things in a notes and building my case, if you will, like of what I'm going to talk about with my seller. Hardy board siding. You know, personally, I hate pedestal sinks and ovals, but the only thing that make this worse would be an oval mirror over this thing. Hopefully they don't have one. If not, it looks staged nicely. Obviously, this is when they sold it, so it doesn't look like this. So part of your walkthrough and consultation will be a lot of minimization and reducing of things. So, you know, when I talk to people, the first thing I say is on listings, I make them go through a full walkthrough with me. We start outside and I make them make the list. So I make them grab paper and pen and we walk through and we talk about A, B, C, what do we need and want to do? And I have people that can help with all the things. But the word that I use for people to consider is distracting. Is anything too cool, unique, or personal, or from a college that somebody else doesn't like, that will distract a buyer? So those are the things that, and in this instance, we're not seeing too much that except this monkey. So the rest of this otherwise looks really professionally decorated and or staged. And so this doesn't appeal to people. We can't compare this with single family homes that have yards. So just eliminate that from your consideration of comps. Now, one of the other things that I'll do when I'm starting this process is I'll go to the tax record, I'll click on view larger map. And then I'm going to click this arrow over here and I'm going to put on some layers. First, I'm going to click the flood zone, because if a property is in a flood zone, this is going to show that to me. So you want to click on the FEMA flood zones right there and turn that off because it's not there. I'm going to look at any recent sales in the last 6 months. And then I'm going to look at any listings that are active, sold, and under contract showing near my property. Where's my subject? There's so much going on. There it is, right here. So this is a different graphical way in which I can see what's happening. And I know these are all 6 month. Now, what I know too, these are also single family, like here's some cluster homes. So I look at this just so if I wanted to click on some things, like here's a corner lot for 1.48, 2.5, those are likely single family. So in this instance, but you can click on these things. If y'all aren't familiar with this, you can take a class called CRS Tax through RealTrax. It's free, and I highly encourage you to do that because this tool is very, very powerful. Let's go ahead and go back to the traditional method of creating some comps. And we're going to go back to RealTrax, and I'm going to go to a legacy residential search. Now you can use the new search as well. I'm still kind of using a bit of both. But this is how I build my search. I'm going to go ahead and check all. I'm going to uncheck canceled and expired. I'm going to look at anything that's closed in the last 6 months, but I can tell you, like in the market that we were in, comps weren't even worthwhile that were 3 weeks old, let alone 6 months. But nonetheless, that's the data that an appraiser is likely going to use. So let's start with that. Type absolutely anything, no single family except HPR. That is not always going to be the case, but in most instances, there's going to be enough data utilizing these type of things, and we really should just do detached to start and see how much we get. Questions make sense? Cool. Let me change my screen here a little bit so I can see everything. All right, and then I'm going to use, go back to my listing, which I should have. One of my tricks that I didn't follow is when I pulled that listing up, I would have kept that, I would have printed that or kept that in a separate screen so I could go reference that. But because Kevin's on here, it's a 4-bed, 3-bath, correct, Kevin?
Correct.
So I'm going to put a 3-3 for bed and bath count. And then it's got a 2-car garage, which I think is important. So I'm going to put a 2 in there. And then square footage. What's our footage?
Let's see, we're 3428, but remember we've added all right, let's see if that's the addition of
I see 2724.
Yep. So the 3428 is with the additional finish off space. The garage is now
The Airbnb.
yeah, it's the Airbnb.
So is that have a separate entrance?
It does. The garage door, they changed the garage door, so it's trying to remember, it might be all glass, but there's a separate entrance next to the garage door in the back. So you can
Okay.
access it from inside or outside the back.
Great. So it was probably done. Oh, wow. You gave us the Airbnb pics. Look at you. You are the man. This is nice.
Mm-hmm. They did a good job.
This is really nice. So this qualifies, they have a permit for an owner occupied Airbnb, correct?
Correct.
And what kind of financials are they getting on this? What kind of income? This is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it is great. Let's see.
So is this the actual garage? They converted the first floor of the garage as well. So did they take one
Exactly.
or two?
Yep, that's the actual garage. The way it was huge, lofty ceiling. So even when we looked at the place, that was their first thought is, can we do something with this? So they added that loft in there for the bedroom space, and then put a bathroom in under that. So it was a big garage space. It was wide open.
Well, they did a great job with it. They certainly put the money into that, and I really want to know what's going on with this. Is this a garage door combo?
Yep, that's what it is. It's a combo. The garage door can go straight up, but in the middle of the garage door is a swinging single.
Raise your hand.
I know.
These existed, friends. Nobody better have their hand up. Elise, are you impressed yet or what?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So
Look at Mandy. Mandy's like, what's happening? Do I feel like I'm on an SNL episode?
So with spaces that are like guest houses, like let's say, well, first off, do you include that square footage like in the total when you're looking up other, when you're doing the comps? No.
Not necessarily. We're going to come back to that for sure. Great question.
Okay, and then like any unfinished space, you don't include that, right?
I don't, but I take it into consideration.
What does it mean to take something into consideration like that? Like,
I love your questions. It's just, the worst question is the one not shared. So it means that after I look at the nuts and bolts, there's what I guess I would kind of put in the bucket of the intangibles. The location isn't necessarily going to come up in the nuts and bolts, the bed, bath count, square footage, the stuff that everybody's looking at, price per foot. Well, if one has a gold toilet and one doesn't, how does that handle the price per foot? I say that's like buying a car by the pound. How does that working for you? It just doesn't. I mean, a Honda and a Mercedes have the same square footage and do the same things. Even most of them have some of the same features. Why is one more? Well, a myriad of reasons, right? So I take it into consideration after I look at things, and then I start culling down. So I'm going to do that with this process. So great questions. Mandy, did you have anything you'd like to share, or anyone else? All right, good. Zach Zola, great to see you, buddy. How are you? Rock and roll.
I'm good. I'm just trying to catch up on some pricing pros.
I dig that. Tell me about that ceiling light that we just walked under. What's going on in there?
Oh, this is like my breakfast nook / office. Unfortunately, I was supposed to go check on a new build today and I got a positive COVID test, even though I don't have any symptoms. So I gotta just kick it.
Sorry, buddy. So sorry. Hey, but
Yeah, I mean,
I think that lit kitchen ceiling's coming back. I'm kind of digging that, right? I haven't seen one of those in a minute, but I like it.
yeah, right there.
All
but
right.
but yeah, it's kind of like my little breakfast nook / pseudo office when I'm not at Village or on the tennis court or whatnot.
Yeah. Zach teaches tennis, by the way, at for people, and he's amazing.
Appreciate
I've
it.
taken a few lessons. It'll run you ragged, and I could clearly use a few more. Okay, so we're gonna put 3-3. We're gonna 2-car garage. Footage, the core footage is, he told us, was 2724, but they've added a bunch of else. So I'm gonna start with, I typically look at like 20% under, over, and I just pick a round number. So in this case, I'd probably put 2,500 on the bottom end, because 2,500 tends to be, for some people, a consideration of size. But most people don't restrict searches, but any good agent should be asking their buyers, do you have an idea of size? And they'll say, most of them don't know, or they'll give you a number that isn't relative or true, just like the price. They'll say, what's your max budget? We can spend up to 900. And then I say, no problem. I said, well, what you need to know is I never encourage overspending, but what I often find is that when I set up a number, a budget that people tell me, they start sending me homes that are $1 million and $1.1 million. And of course, I say to them, well, of course, those homes are nicer than the stuff I've sent to you. They're outside of the number you gave me. So for the interest of setting you up and not missing anything, tell me the number that you will say, do not send me anything over this number. That's the dialogue. It's very, very important. I have a buyer we're buying in Williamson County right now. Well, Ted, we'd like to stay under 950. Great. That's not what you're going to spend because you told me you'd like to. Now, if your budget is to buy a $100,000 car versus an $80,000 car, don't go look at the hundreds if you don't plan to buy it, because that's the nicer car. And most of the time they will. I digress. All right, on the top end of the square footage, because this thing's got 35 and change, but it's a separate entrance, so it's a detached like footage. I'm just going to start with the core of the house, but I think this Airbnb is worth easily 100 grand. That's just my gut feel. It also has to depend on, Kevin, what did you say they're making a year on this thing? How long have they had it up?
They're, from what I can remember, they're at $3 grand a month. So they're doing a good bit
Great.
on that Airbnb.
So it's a $3 grand a month on a 10 cap. I do that times basically like 10. So I think that thing, when I'm buying rental property, I'm looking at something that's going to kick off 10% a month. At 300,000, I want $3 grand a month. That's practically impossible in Nashville anymore. You're going to spend 700 grand to get 300 a month or $3 grand a month. So that's good numbers though. So I would say that's probably worth every bit of probably 200 G's to somebody on top of these other things. For this purpose, I'm going to put 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. Okay. Now we got to pick area. I don't use zip codes. I always typically use, I always use a map. And I look at geographic boundaries that make sense based on where this property is. So if somebody, I'm always trying to think, what is the buyer searching? Because that kind of has to do with where the comps are. There's some places where that some people aren't going to live on this side of 65 in Wedgwood, Houston, but they'll live on this side, or they'll live on this side of Wedgwood Avenue, but they're not going to live on this side. Right? I mean, it's just kind of the way it works. So I'm going to draw my map here. And in this instance, I do think that there's people that would go up to Wedgwood Avenue. I don't use a circle. Rebecca often uses a circle and does a radius. I don't like circles because that doesn't correlate to anything but distance. And that's not how people search homes. They search by areas. So in my opinion, they're going to be on this side of 65. And my chat window's in the way. We'll go this way first. They'll come over to, this is 21st Avenue. I'm going to go a little past that, probably close over to West End. We're getting into Whitworth. It gets pretty spendy down there. Well, this isn't working out for me, is it? All right, let's kill this. Yeah, let's come down here into Green Hills. What is this, Harding down here probably? Yep. I don't really want to go all the way to Harding. Is that Harding?
Yeah, that should be
Really?
Harding.
Yeah. I don't really want to go all the way down there. Anybody have any thoughts or opinions on my map here?
The
Questions?
only question I have is crossing over 21st. When you start at 8th, every one of those mains you cross over 12th, the houses go up. You cross over Belmont, the houses go up, and now you're crossing over 21st. So that's my only question is how far. I mean, I get what you're doing.
There ain't going to be
and I
too
wanna
many
see where you
detached
take it off.
HPRs. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the difference. Let's see how many we get. You're right. If it's single family, I do the map different. Now, that big of area, 6 months, look at how much data I have. Ironically, it's the perfect amount of data that I need. I'll go to map, click it next. Where are they? So that's the first thing I look at. I just need to know, do they compare an area? And what am I looking at? So, okay, here's one. First thing off the bat, this is what somebody's wanting to get. 1.2, got a pending over here at 1.2. Again, all detached HPRs right off the bat. We know these are the same tool. We're not comparing SUVs and pickup trucks. It's just stupid. So get it out of their head because they are comparing SUVs and pickup trucks. This is good data, and it's all like in a pretty good data set, right? Like, I mean, in the sense of, so the first thing I do is check all, go to a CMA, and just look at the numbers. Because again, that's kind of what your client's looking at and where I need to start. Now, this doesn't take into account, we've got an Airbnb, but let's not go there yet, okay? Like people are buying a house. They're not buying this thing necessarily for income producing, although we know we've got tons of those jokers in town too. So this is what somebody wants to get. So I'm going to start with they have 7 days on the market. I'll click on it and look at who's listed it. How does it look? They started with an inside photo. No, in my opinion. But let's see. Yeah, so this is a no to me. Another thing when listing property, your first 5 photos should be the best 5 photos of the entire property that you have. Why do I say that?
Because they're gonna click fast and you want the best first.
Yeah, and the photographer gives them to you in linear order. My favorite is when I see the first 5 photos and one's the wide shot, the narrow shot, the front door, the entry, and it's like, fuck it, next. You know, people just move along. This apparently is going to be the Pricing Pros F-bomb version. So hopefully I'll try to clean it up here. Okay, so where's the outside of this thing? Oh, well, we don't show it because it's so awful. We'd rather show you this tan exterior rear. I mean, what's happening here, friends? This is terrible. This is not a bad looking house on the outside. Start there. Pay for backgrounds, like get a beautiful sky background, do a twilight shot. Your photography is everything. Spend the money. Get rid of the brochures and the other BS. Spend the money on photography. You don't need drone shots. In my opinion, what you need is a virtual tour, and I don't use Matterport. I use iGuide, a Vista Media. It's in the toolkit, and it's not like he's the best photographer in the world, but the virtual tour, and you get a floor plan of the house. It's really, really great. I'll show you an example of that in a bit. Nonetheless, 1.2, this thing is 3-bed, 3.5 bath. We've got an extra bed. We're similar square footage. It's got to have a 2-car garage. Let's make sure that, yep, attached in the rear, just like us.
Hey, we don't have a garage anymore. Does that matter?
Oh yeah, it matters. Yep,
So
it matters.
that's something to
What you
consider.
got, what you have is an Airbnb though.
Correct.
So
But no
that's a
parking
great
anymore.
point, Kevin, and that's really, that will nix you for some people. Now, is it a worthy trade-off to somebody buying $1 million homes? You know, $1 million these days used to be what the 750 was. And at 750, in my opinion, that demographic appreciates $3,000 a month. They might be able to concede and put their Audi outside, but for some, they won't. So the answer to that is it depends. Okay. Got the CCNRs in here. There's, I'm just going to use this chance to give some plugs. Alexander is an interesting cat, calls himself the bow tie bandit, but put offer instructions in your listings, put all of your seller documents in one document. Don't put the confirmation of agency, the PCD, the disclaimer, put all that in one document so we're not all having to click and download, and then click and upload. Come on, friends. But I like to see CCNRs in here too. You should have that as well. Here comes the fire truck. All right, let's go back to our results. Let's see what people actually are paying. Skipping under contract, going to closed. This is what people voted with their pen and said we'd pay. Last 6 months, most recent here being this July 15th jobby. Days on market, the average is 1 day. That's hilarious. Listing to close, contract to close, right? Is that what that is? Isn't that LTC and C2C? Thought so. We can see the average sale price is higher than the list price, also hilarious. Average year built, 2-car garage, average is 4 bath. This one's a 5er. So then I'm going to go back to the map. And this one's pretty close to us, this 1-1. Let's look at this. If you looked at all these comps, Kevin, is all this looking familiar?
I haven't done it since May. May was the last time that we pulled them up.
Good. Well, this is helpful. This is cute. It's cool. Nice outdoor kitchen. Got a yard. Front load garages. Don't hate on them, friends. They're very functional. Very nice open plan. Much more, I think, in trend and style than your home. I think your home is going to be perceived as a little dated because it's traditional, right? This has the white cabinets, the grays, the blue, like all the things. It's probably a Louis bag in the corner, no offense. Banquette, or, you know, like built, yeah, banquette, there we go. You can just call this stuff. Y'all see, like, I mean, I really love, like we've got some trim around this TV. That's a nice touch. Like, there's a lot going on in here. Like, this mirror was probably a little much in this, you know, these alcoves, but this is good. This is good stuff. They've been well coached. I mean, as far as how to make a closet look, tell your sellers to color code. It's weird, but people like it. How we sell our homes isn't how we live in our homes. I tell them if they came over to my house, they'd laugh too. Okay, so when they walk through, I tell them on that first meeting, do not clean up, but know that we're going to go through and do an audit. And I talk a lot about minimization. So like on this bookshelf, I'd say, we need to reduce this by 50%. You want the home to feel a lot less of stuff than more. Went a little bold on this paper for this size room, but I get it. We got all the things, the macrame, everybody's winning here. Dyson fan. Yep. Oh, we got a shed, she shed, Solo's fireplace. We've all seen it, friends. All
I
right.
have a question.
Yeah, questions.
If they have 4 kids, 5 coming, and what do you suggest to people when they have a lot of items in their house? Do you suggest they get a rental unit, put all their stuff in? You know, like to clean
Yeah,
up?
I say that. I say this. Great question, by the way. The garage is the most forgiving space in this house. Fill it up. It's not if you're moving, it's when. When you hire me, we're moving, and likely within 30 to 60 days. So
Okay.
if you don't need this, if it isn't going to be used every day, it does not sit out.
Okay.
Not including your toothbrush. And if it's not going to be used in the next 30 to 60 days, it gets packed and put in the garage, unless we determine it's good decor. Otherwise, minimize. And that's what I use with them. Minimize this by 50%. They seem to get that. This is distracting. We need to take this down. I give them the coaching at the beginning, like, why am I going to, you know, hit your baby? Because that's what we have to do to sell property. You know, we don't sell Ferraris dirty.
Okay.
You know, we don't sell Mercedes without floor mats. Like, you know, it's just, nobody's going in there going, can you throw in the floor mats? No, they're included. That's kind of how it rolls here. If they want these chandeliers, do not show anything you're not willing to convey. That includes that washer and dryer that they spent so much money on and debated about should they get the steam or not. Let it go, let it go. All right, Wendy Monday listed this, great agent. She's with us. Her stuff always looks pretty darn snappy. It's a 3.5, 2,600. All right. Enhancements and upgrades. These are good things. I always try to look at what other people are doing and rip off their ideas. So you should have a list like this. I have also a thing I include with my listings called Top 10 Reasons We Love Our Home. It's the intangibles. Where do they see the deer? How do they walk their kids? I sit and have coffee here. The neighbors are amazing. My neighbor cuts my lawn. Whatever. Get it behind the sticks and bricks and show them why they should love this home. Make sense? All right. YouTube walkthroughs and videos. I'm just using a lot of this chance. I know this has gone a little long. We'll get to a price here to just see like what they're doing. Really nice marketing, right? This is pretty consistent with how Wendy rolls her stuff. Okay. Back to pricing. So what I would look at here, I mean, I'm not just going to using averages, but when I look at these, like there's 1.2, 1.3, it's a side load, there's a front load, 1.3, 1.1. It's giving me a baseline. It seems like we're sort of in that million mark for the footage that we have with a 2-car garage. So let's just peek and see what happens when we get rid of the 2-car, but we up the footage game, and I'm going to go 3 to, let's say 4. This will be interesting. 36 listings. And let's take our footage. Let's go to a 4-bedroom, get rid of some of that other riffraff. We'll go from 36 to 35 listings. So you can see it doesn't make a big difference. I'm going to get rid of new construction, year built. So I'm going to go, what year is this thing? 2016 or 18?
2016.
Perfect. 20. I'm going to go 2019, but I might go 2020 because we're traditional. I don't want to be competing with this contemporary Grandview. Now look what happened, friends. 35 listings down to 15. Now we're getting somewhere. Now this would be another area where we could drop down. We could shrink this map. Let's say we wanted to adjust that. You know, we can double click that and we can pull this in a little bit if we felt that was outside the realm. If we think $2 million isn't even in the realm of possibility, didn't mean to do that. I would restrict the top end of the budget. It's probably not going to work here. Exit drawing mode. Let's look at this beauty. $2 million because it looks banging inside, right? I mean, we're not this on any given day. Okay, so like I'm realizing we're likely not competing with $2 million properties. So sometimes I will cap the top end at, let's say, maybe 175. Just to help me get reeled in here a little bit, and it could jack my results because I got rid of my map. Yep, it did. So let's put our map back on here. We're just going to do this kind. Seem good with that? Y'all get the sense of what we're doing here, right? I mean, that's the intent of this, is not necessarily that I'm going to be able to nail the price because I've never seen it. And I tell my sellers that I'm not going to give you the disservice of giving you a price that you're going to hold on to and be married to without walking through your home. And then me coming back to my home and my office and doing further due diligence and giving you a price analysis that we talk about the next day. Now, I might give you a range, but they're going to hold on to whatever you tell them. So be real careful with whatever that is. So here's the 2019s, 3 to 4,000, 4 threes, no garage mandate under 2019. And you can see how the footage jumps quite a bit. But let's go and let's put in a 0 for a garage and see what happens. Nothing. Nothing. So that may have to take into account. I mean, let's just even see if there's something with a 1. It rhymes with Nero. So we need to take that into account with our consideration. And again, just our marketing, like we're going to be marketing towards potential investors as well. So garages obviously are must, or it was a big decision to do what they did. I can get it from an income producing, and somebody may dig it, you know, that aren't car people, or they don't have storage, because like they should have kept part of that apartment for storage. Do they have any storage in that garage for themselves?
Nope, not, I mean, not if they don't, not unless they use it for personal
Yeah.
use.
It's it's too nice for that. But there's some people that they have guests all the time. They have a teen suite, they have an in-law, they've got a nanny, they've got, I mean, there's people, right? But it just has an influence on your marketing. So that kind of comes back to at least what we talked about of considerations. So what I'm seeing here is top end looking at like, I mean, we're not 1.8. I don't think, I mean, 1.6, 1.7. I mean, I think that's sort of in the, we're not this Lombardi either. I think we're sort of in that 1.2 to 1.5 range. Now that may seem like a big spread, but it kind of depends on how you want to pitch it and market it. And then I would get other people to potentially tour the property, to do a broker open and do a guess the price, give a gift card to whoever comes closest to what it closes for, and get some other opinions and bring people that sell that property. So then I go into, I can keep this same map search, I can clear the data, and I can go down here, my additional criteria. I actually have a saved search. I shouldn't have cleared all that, but nonetheless, I can do agent. Let's do listing agent. Last name, no, I don't want that. What do I want to do? I would do that same search, but then I would sort by, I would do the last year. So I'll do that for you real quick. And I'm going to do that same search of things, let's say 1 million to 2 million, 1.75. And I want to just do closed the last year. All property types. I'm going to take all that data and I'm going to maybe add a column here. I think I have a layout that's called agent with agent. You can save these if you're unfamiliar. Take a RealtorX class, how to do this. Now it's going to add the agent data over here. And then I'm just going to sort and see who has the most names when I see repeating. I'm really interested more on who's the sales agent than I am the listing agent. And here we go. And last year, where do I see the most names repeat? Does that make sense? And those are the people I call. Or maybe you just take all 175 of these and this is who you target. And use this thing called the iTalk app. It's unbelievable. You use this thing and there's a device where it has this green button and you call people and then you talk and then they talk and you have this thing called a conversation. And it's really powerful. You might like make a connection. You might like find out some new restaurant you love, or you might sell a house. Mary Beth Thomas, who crushes it, uses the phone. She wakes up in the morning and decides what she's going to sell, and she sells it. I shit you not. It's more than just the power of manifestation, because she targets, she goes after where the fruit, is produced. So you look at these things. I mean, there's not a ton, but you can start to see some consistent names. Missy Bauer, you sissy, sassy girl, you sold 3. I don't know Missy that well. A lot of non-MLSers. They should put themselves on the other side, but of course they unrepresented, right? Richard Bryan, absolutely would put him in there. Look at Robbie Stone dropping 2. East Nashville knows how to get there too. Susan Gregory, absolutely. You have a reason to call these people. You're not asking to shadow them. You might learn something from them and tell them you've got a hot new property coming. So you call them, you say, hey, this is Teddy, I'm with Village. Do you have a quick minute? I know you sold a lot of property in the Green Hills, and I've got a new one coming, and I thought it might be something you might be interested in. And they might say, no, could you text me? Absolutely. I'll send you the text right now. I appreciate you taking my call and I'll follow up with you before we go to market. Nice. Pre-market. You're giving them something of value. Always have something of value when you call. Jake Griffin. Friends, that was a nothing shy of a tornado that just came through on this Pricing Pros. Questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, feedback.
Yeah, if you took it from here, with your range, like what are some other things that you would do to zero down into a closer price point? I mean, I know you mentioned
At
having some
that, I
other
would give
people
it to, at
involved.
that, I would give it to my clients. So to me, thank you for bringing that up, because to me, price categories are king always. You want to think of how buyers search prices. Nobody's budget is $485. It just isn't. It's $450, it's $475, it's $500. When we get up over $750, they work in $250 increments typically. Some people's budget's $850, but typically it's $750 or $1 million. Over $1 million, it's $1.1 million, $2 million, $250. So think $25,000 increments. That's why I said 1.2, 1.25 to 1.5. I would tend to go on the lower side, because the market will bid it up if it needs to. You're not going to be leaving nickels on the table. I know we can't go up, we can only come down, but you know what you never get back? The grand opening. And if you miss the grand opening, you miss the show. Then you're what I call on the market, not in the market. You need to be in the market. This is the market, okay? This house may sell for 1.1. Get their expectations clear right from the start and show them the data. Here's the 1.1 houses. Guess what? They also have everything over that. They have garages. And while this was a cute and nice idea, at the very least, they should have made that kept one bay of that garage. You keep one bay, because the world needs storage or the car or something. You did not need to make that thing that big. That's 1,000. How big is that damn thing?
Yeah, it's like 700 square feet.
Way too big. You needed a studio. 400 square feet, 300 to 400 square feet. I mean, what are you housing? A family? Come on. Like 700 is a full 1-bedroom apartment. I mean, I rent a condo for $2,000 a month at Bristol West End. That's $550. Like they have their full life in there. These people are staying a night and don't need they don't need a range. They need a microwave at best. So that's my opinions on the day due in that application. So I would put it in their court. I'd say one of two things we're going to do here. I would suggest that you start at 125. And if we don't have an offer in the first 14 days, we're going to make a price modification. I'm going to suggest at that time we go to 1.2. After another week and a half, we're going to go to 1.1. And after that, then I hopefully don't get there. We'll have another discussion. I would have that all written out in the listing agreement so they agree to it and understand. You have a game plan. What you need to look like is you're in control and you have a plan, not that you're like, yeah, we'll try it out and see what happens. You know what? I've seen that movie. It sucks. Everybody drops when they start at 1.5 because we're going to do the try it and see what happens. I do it on my home. We all do it on our own stuff because our gut just tells us, well, what if, what? Yeah, it's the try it and see what happens just doesn't work, in my opinion. So I would parlay that to them. If we do the 1.5, then here's the price drops. I mean, it's going to be more radical. And what do people think when they see price drops? Let's hear from people. What do you think?
Something's not okay with the property. The price is too high. There's sort of an overshooting of value compared to what's actually being offered.
Yeah. And then when they start to see the drops, what starts to be perceived as?
Yucky.
It might be like blood in the water, right? Like maybe we can, like, where's the bottom? They just don't feel good about it. Like everybody will pay a premium for something that there's limited access to. Whatever your seller is into, speak to that language. They like cars, they like food, they like whatever. Everybody wants to get into the private opening of the new restaurant. Everybody wants the coolest new craft cocktail. Everybody wants the car when it rolls off the line before everybody has it. You know, pretty soon Rivians and H2 electrics are going to be boring. Like, it's just going to happen. But there's those people that have to have it first, and they're willing to pay for it. So as we position this, this might be one of the few and only. Now, what I would also look at that has an Airbnb, I would look at Airbnb and start searching things in that area as well. Right? For like maybe, I mean, 1 or 2 guests and location, right? And see what's like in that area. Whatever, September, go. You get it. So go to a map, try to narrow in, see things that are in that area so then you can speak to that as well. Like just in that area, for probably an executive that wants to work in Green Hills, what are we looking at? Here's an apartment, you know, for $228. Like, it's not like there's not a lot of Airbnbs. I think we're starting to approach, I'm hearing from managers that they're not as booked as they once were. Believe it or not, there's going to be a race to the bottom on Airbnbs. And like at one point, the world's going to go, we got enough. Or Nashville, at least. So I don't know. I would consider that too. And that price range has to do with taking into account we're gaining an Airbnb income producing $3,000 a month. That's, you know, 36 a year gross. They can clean it themselves. It's a great tax deduction, all the things, but they have no garage. I think the net of that is about 150 G's. Maybe 200, which is why it takes me from like a 1.1 price point. And why am I at 1.1? Because of the way it looks. I'd be at 1.2 if it looked killer, if it looked in trend. Probably 1.25. It's 2016, friends, with no garage, and it looks like Green Hills in 2016. You definitely got the John Stewart Unplugged Pricing Pros today. Have your pet spayed, neuter, and get out to vote. Apparently that's happening today. Parting thoughts, comments, questions, other opinions on price. Does anybody have another opinion or what they think the price should be? Please. Feedback for Kevin. Everybody's like, no, we're good.
Teddy, I have a question. I was helping him with this one, and because he's my husband, we're working together sometimes, but
Kevin's your husband?
Yeah, Kevin's my husband. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, do you with Village? I'm just kidding. So kidding. I didn't know y'all were married, or if I did, I forgot.
What'd you say?
I was being silly. I know you're with Village, of course, but I forgot that you're married. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're a thing for 20 years. But if we had mentioned in May that we thought 1.3, and is there anything to say, like, the market was really crazy at that time, you know, like everyone was scrambling.
It's 1.2 now on its best day. If it was 1.3.
Okay. So like, it's okay to say, hey, things have simmered down and we think it really is now 1.2. Like,
yeah, the
I
market
feel a little
didn't
bad
crash. The market corrected. The market didn't crash.
Corrected.
The market's still doing well. The market just corrected. You know, God love those that sold 6 weeks ago. That was the top of the roller coaster. We're still doing 100 miles an hour. We're not doing 120.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And this is beautiful. I mean, I think they did a great job.
Yeah, they did a great job on the Airbnb, but it is a hard house. So thank you for helping with that.
This is a pretty exposed area to be a rear load in an alley. I mean, this is pretty fancy for that. I mean, with all that glass. But I learned something new. I love the options of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you. As much as I hate these signs, I guess it's nice when people see them on Airbnb. These are great photos too. Did a pro take these?
I mean, I used to do photography. I didn't take these. Did Garrett take them, Kevin?
I don't know who they had take these.
Buell.
Yeah.
Sure those weren't yours?
They might have been, I don't know.
I
I
think
can't-
you
These
took
are
them.
yours. These aren't Garrett's. These are yours. You look amazing. Good
Nah,
work.
I don't do it anymore, but thank you. Maybe it was mine.
All good.
All right, thanks, Teddy.
You're so welcome. I'm so
Thanks, Teddy.
grateful for you all and for putting that in for the mix and everybody's involvement. If you have any more questions or things, call your senator. Love y'all. Have a great day.
Thank you.